On a stormy midnight, as prison lights flickered like dying candles, 7 inmates made a choice that would rewrite their names in history. Led by Amir Khan, a man known for his cold logic and calm eyes, they moved like ghosts through the shadows. Danish, the trembling but brilliant hacker, typed frantically, cracking the final security panel. With a soft click, the gate slid open. The 7 men Amir, Raza, Bilal, Yusuf, Danish, Farhan, and the unpredictable Cameron stepped into the pouring rain. They ran into a freedom that felt more like a trap, tasting the air like hunted animals. Their desperation and hunger led them to the highway, where they committed their first robbery at a lonely petrol pump. Amir wanted no violence, but Cameron, whose smile always carried a hint of madness, fired his gun just to hear an escape anymore. It was a descent into chaos. As the night bled into dawn, the 7 men sped through small towns, a storm of their own making. They robbed shops and stores to survive, each man playing his part. Danish, with his shaking hands, disabled security alarms. Yusuf, with his smooth tongue, scared cashiers into opening safes. Bilal drove stolen cars at dangerous speeds, while Raza slammed open locked doors with brute force. And then there was Farhan, the youngest, barely 19. He watched everything with wide, terrified eyes, silently wishing he had stayed behind the prison walls instead of being dragged into this waking nightmare. Soon, their faces were everywhere. News channels flashed their pictures across the country, branding them as highly dangerous fugitives. On live television, the sharp and relentless Inspector Hadi Raza made a public promise. He would hunt them down before another sunrise. The noose was tightening, and the men felt it. Hiding in an abandoned warehouse, the cracks in their group began to show. Arguments turned into shouting, but the tension finally snapped when Cameron, losing all control, lunged at Farhan. Amir grabbed him by the collar, his voice low and deadly, warning that one more reckless move would be his last. But it was too late. Fear was spreading faster than loyalty, and the group was falling apart from the inside. With the police closing in, they decided on one last desperate gamble. A massive robbery at a district bank. It promised enough money for them to disappear forever. A final shot at a new life. But as they stepped inside, the alarms shrieked, louder than their own frantic heartbeats. Everything spiraled into chaos in seconds. Cameron fired his gun wildly, sending civilians screaming to the floor. Outside, police cars surrounded the building. Inspector Hadi's voice echoed through a megaphone. A calm, final judgment. Amir, it's over. There's no escape. Inside, the world had become a blur of bullets and fear. Bilal was shot down trying to force a back door. Raza took a bullet, meant for young Farhan, collapsing while protecting him. Overwhelmed, Yusuf dropped his weapon and surrendered, tears streaming down his face. Danish hid behind the vault, shaking uncontrollably. And Farhan just sat on the cold floor, whispering that he never wanted any of this. Finally, Amir Khan stepped forward, his hands raised in surrender. In that moment, the broken leader understood a devastating truth. Freedom had never been their destination, only destruction. The surviving men were dragged out into a sea of flashing cameras and watching crowds, as Inspector Hadi closed the case he had sworn to finish. As the police vans drove away, Farhan cried softly, relieved his nightmare was finally over. Amir stared out the small van window, realizing he had escaped the prison walls. But he had never escaped the prison inside his own soul. But deep inside the bank's maintenance tunnels, away from the cameras and the sirens, a soft, chilling laugh echoed in the darkness. Cameron, bleeding but alive, crawled into the shadows. He had a smile on his face as he whispered into the silence. The game is not over. Not yet.